Hello, our dear viewers. In today's video, we are going to explore the first universities of our world with examples from history. In doing so, our aim is to inform you by teaching you how our counterparts in the ancient world were educated and by what kind of institutions. In addition to that, we want to show you that the University of Bologna, which comes up as the first answer when you Google the first university of the world, or any other European institution, was not the first university of the history. Other institutions of higher education could be found in all civilization around the world, which was founded at a much earlier time from any institution in Europe. In the science of history, the definition of something is always blurry, so you can't pinpoint when the institution of university as we know it was at last established. So everyone can more or less claim the title of the first university. But we must say that the part the other institution of the world played in the evolution that eventually formed our modern universities shouldn't be overlooked. Okay, I bore you with my constant babbling. So let's not get lost in meaningless arguments. You just need to know that the institutions we are going to talk about in our video were institutions of higher education nonetheless and were established at an earlier time. Well, if you are ready and in a comfortable position, buckle up for a journey spanning several regions and decades. From the academic halls of medieval Morocco to the monastic campuses of ancient India and to the imperial academies of China.
To begin with, let's take a look at the two landmark universities, Al-Qarawiyyin and Al-Azhar, which created the roots of higher education. Founded in 859 in Fez, Morocco, by a visionary woman who was also wealthy enough to support learning, Fatima al-Fihri, the University Al-Qarawiyyin is recognized by UNESCO and the Guinness World Records as the oldest university in the world. Al-Qarawiyyin is known to be the oldest continually operating university and predates, for example, the University of Bologna. Similarly, about a century later, established in 970 in Cairo, Al-Azhar University also became the most influential center of Islam. If we search for the features that made these universities special, we can see that they didn't only focus on religion. The University of Al-Qarawiyyin contributed its influence over scholarship not only through teaching, but also by allocating its financial resources such as scholarships, waiving student fees, funding research projects, producing manuscripts, and paying salaries to religious officials, the imam and khatib. The curriculum included a wide range of fields such as astronomy, Quran, religious sciences, law, rhetoric, logic, calculation, mathematics, geography, medicine, Islamic rules, history, and chemistry. Unlike other schools in the same period that were defined as religious schools, Al-Qarawiyyin and Al-Azhar allowed students to discover different worldly knowledge. Moreover, their influence was not only for Islam. Al-Qarawiyyin's writings spread to Andalusia in the Middle Ages. They impacted European thinkers, who in turn influenced the Renaissance. If you look at the teaching methods of these institutions, it centered almost entirely on speaking and memorization, which were the traditional Arab methods coming from the religious value of the knowledge taught. Students didn't just take courses and graduated. They graduated after many years of study, especially in the early years, and more at Al-Azhar than anywhere else. There were no fixed admissions rules or standard programs. However, there is something to note. Even though these institutions provided learning for different fields with a variety of teaching methods and even affected Europe, it was not easy to access these universities. Opportunities for education were mostly available for intellectual elites. Also, even though the first university was founded by a woman, until the 1940s, female students were not admitted. Also, teaching and leadership positions were mostly affected by the powerful people or military elites who shaped the structure of education in institutions in those years. So, while the leaders and the structure shapers of institutions were the elite ones, and all the knowledge had to align with religious positions, that means the critical or oppositional questioning was limited. Although there were limitations, these universities left a legacy by demonstrating how a university education works in the Islamic world, which still continues to this day. And as Sheikh Mohammed Al-Muntasir mentioned, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin is the oldest university in the world, preceding the establishment of Zaytuna in Tunisia and Al-Azhar in Egypt, which shows that it inspired the creation of other universities.
In addition to these influential Islamic institutions in North Africa and the Middle East, ancient India also played a crucial role in shaping the concept of higher education. Long before the emergence of European universities, India was home to two of the most prominent and advanced centers of learning in the ancient world, Takshashila and Nalanda. The institutions provided multiple subjects to students who came from various Asian regions, thus creating a vibrant intellectual environment. The ancient Takshashila University in present-day Pakistan established its operations during the 5th century BCE, which makes it one of the earliest recorded institutions of higher learning in human history. The educational institution operated without a unified campus structure because it relied on individual teachers who provided instruction in subjects including medicine and military science and law, politics and astronomy and philosophy. The renowned scholar Charaka, who became known as the father of Indian medicine, taught Ayurveda at Takshashila. The Nalanda University was established during the Gupta period in the 5th century CE within Bihar, India. The institution operated as a residential university which reached its maximum enrollment of 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers. Nalanda University distinguished itself from Takshashila through its extensive library complex and its formal curriculum and entrance examination system. The institution focused on Buddhist philosophy while offering education in logic and grammar and medicine and mathematics, astronomy, and art. The university became a global academic center because it drew students from China, Korea, Japan, and Tibet, among other international locations. The Chinese scholar Xuanzang, who studied at Nalanda during the 7th century, documented the advanced academic environment through his descriptions of the institution's structured debates, oral examinations, and monastic discipline. The academic practices at Indian universities demonstrated their commitment to religious teachings through their emphasis on both intellectual reasoning and open intellectual discussions. The Indian institutions operated with similar restrictions as North African universities because they admitted students primarily from male elite and monastic families while excluding women from formal education. The universities operated under the influence of ruling powers and religious authorities, which restricted critical questioning, but to a lesser degree than theocratic systems. The educational institutions of Takshashila and Nalanda created enduring impacts on worldwide educational systems. The educational system at Takshashila and Nalanda proved that organized multidisciplinary cross-cultural learning existed before the European university movement began. The educational institutions of modern India, along with global Buddhist and philosophical traditions, demonstrate the ongoing impact of these ancient institutions.
Today, I want to take you on a quick journey back in time, to ancient China, to explore the roots of higher education in one of the world's oldest civilizations. Let's talk about China's first universities. So, when we say university, we usually imagine something like Harvard or Oxford. But in China, formal education systems go way further back. We're talking over 2,000 years ago. One of the most famous early institutions was the Taxu, or imperial academy, which was established during the Han Dynasty around 124 BCE. This wasn't just any school, it was a top school for training government officials. Imagine a place where the smartest young men from across the empire came to study Confucian texts, philosophy, politics, and ethics, all to prepare for civil service exams. These exams were extremely tough. People studied for years, sometimes their whole lives. But if you passed, it changed everything. You could enter government service and move up the social ladder. Later, during the Tang and Song dynasties, education kept evolving. We saw institutions like the Guojiang, known as the National University, and private academies like the Yule Academy, founded in 976 CE. Believe it or not, Yule Academy still exists today as part of Hunan University. That's over 1,000 years of continuous education. Now, fast forward to modern day China, and you will see how this ancient tradition of learning has transformed into a global academic powerhouse. Today, universities like Tsinghua University and Peking University are ranked among the best in the world. They offer cutting-edge research, international programs, and produce graduates who lead in science, tech, business, even space exploration. What's amazing is that while the subjects have changed, from Confucianism to quantum physics, the respect for education remains just as strong. In fact, education is still seen as the key to personal growth, social mobility, and national development in China. So from the imperial academies of the Han Dynasty to the world-class campuses of today, China's journey in education is nothing short of extraordinary.
While we are approaching the end of our video, it can be said that the history of the university as an institution is much more extensive and globally connected than it is often realized. We showed to you that sophisticated academic systems, complete with curricula, intellectual traditions, and systems for preserving and disseminating knowledge, had already developed throughout the Islamic world, the Indian subcontinent, and imperial China. In addition to supporting research in fields like astronomy, law, medicine, and philosophy, these universities were also vital hubs for cross-cultural interaction. Its impact went much beyond its borders, forming intellectual traditions that will eventually reverberate throughout the world. One example of which can be seen in the effects of Arabic translation of ancient Greek texts in European Renaissance. Both in historical memory and in the educational institutions they influence, their legacies endure. Thank you all for your attention. We hope that by making this video, we have helped you to better understand the human quest for knowledge, education, and intellectual development. And we hope that we have helped you to broaden your view of history from a single region to a broader perspective. Take care and stay safe.